of this country and we're under attack. They banning us, they cancel us for speaking the facts. If you man enough.
This is the Patriots Prayer Podcast. It's a tremendous show, one of the greatest shows in the history of the world.
This is Bryson Gray, and you are watching the Patriots Prayer.
PTN, you're doing the right thing.
On the Patriots Prayer Network. Thank you all.
PTN on your bumper.
I'm Tom McDonald. This is the Patriot Prayers Network. Check it out. Lots of good TV. Lots of cool people. Tune in. Keep it locked.
I'm the white boy with the middle fingers in the air, dog. We don't give a what. 100 white boys gonna hold me down anywhere, dog. We think that you suck. My Patriots the craziest. They ain't afraid of breaking fists on faces. If you really wanna taste of this, no safety tip. The same mistake and spray the clip. I pray you miss, cause if you don't, they gon' go wacko. Automatic gun smoke like tobacco. Never hit a lady, but it's pretty hard to tell if you're a girl or a they, them. There's these, that, those. I ain't never gonna take a knee for the anthem. Smack them. I don't give a damn, can't stand them. Gang full of randoms. Fan with a handgun. Run up in your mansion, leave it all abandoned. I was raised to be brave to the grave. United States, we love the country that they've been corrupting. Go woke and go broker if you ain't awake. My people love this country and we're under attack. They banning us, they cancel us for speaking the facts. If you man enough, come stand with us, take USA back. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see American flags. American flags. American flags. And every time we pull up, all you...
What's going on, Patriots? And welcome back to another long-awaited edition of the Patriots Prayer Podcast. We are bringing back Austin Kitt. We weren't able to get Dad today. Little technical difficulties, but we wanted to bring Austin back to talk about his case. Many of you have seen the Babylon Betrayal. We put out a movie. Dale from Two Guys, One Coup was in the movie. He narrated it. We went through this entire story. But for those who have never seen the movie and don't understand what happened to you and your father, Austin, would you give us the kind of 1,000-foot view so people understand what took place?
Oh, essentially 4 years ago, me and my father are blue-collar people. We purchased an exquisite property right on the Great South Bay in Long Island. And there was a very contentious environment to begin with. The prior homeowner before us was fighting with City Hall for 10 years. He couldn't build on this land. We inherited all these problems, and they pretty much abused us for 4.5 years now. There's a lot of underlying strange coincidences here that the mayor of the village is a former Long Island Board of Realtors president, and that she runs the
largest real estate agency
company. Yeah, she basically was the
kind of a conflict of interest to be controlling the zoning and also writing the laws while you're selling homes and that sort of thing. But your property is adjacent to the famous Gilgo Beach incident that took place out there. And some of the people that are involved in your story were also mentioned in that incident. So this thing kind of runs very deep, and some of the people that are involved are questionable, to say the least. We've looked at a lot of videos. A lot of people follow you and follow your story from the beginning on TikTok and on X, and people that have saw the movie The Babylon Betrayal. The police report, false police reports filed against you, security guards hired by the town specifically, whose only job in life is to keep you from going into a town hall for which you pay taxes to be able to go into. The mayor has been caught lying, having her secretary lie for her, having meetings with the contractor having secret meetings with the city inspector. Now, my particular trade in life is I'm a claims expert from a construction standpoint. So these are laws and things that I really understand, more so than the average person. Your home was built with an existing foundation that was there from the previous owner who put that foundation down under questionable terms with money received during the pandemic after he had already lost the property. that foundation was never inspected, so you should have never been allowed to actually build on that foundation.
True.
They allowed you, or they allowed the contractor, let's be more precisely, to build on that foundation, knowing that it wasn't inspected. The home went up. There were a multitude of inspections that should have taken place from the time you put rebar in the ground, footings were poured, rebar was in, electrical was in, mechanical was in, all of these things, plumbing, all these things were inspected the entire way. And the inspector's name, I believe it was Lindsay Henry.
No. Steve Fellman.
Steve, I apologize. I'm getting my crooks mixed up. So
there's a lot of names.
So he inspects the home a lot of the way. He's on record saying from other people that he makes more money from kickbacks than he does from inspecting homes. And I saw the videos of them taking your home apart. The mold everywhere, the shoddy workmanship. Your home cost you about $400,000 or so to build. When the home was done being built, the damage done to the home was in excess of $350,000 on a brand new home, uninhabitable.
Astonishing.
And you move in, you get the electricity turned on, you get this whole situation. The mayor makes calls to the electric company and has your electricity cut off with a lie, telling the electric company that your home has been condemned. She denied it. I've heard the audio where she actually says it, so she lied.
Yep.
And now you're going to court over this. All of these things are coming out. She's trying to use government immunity as her means to a defense, but it's just not working for her, is it?
No, it's really not. It's just in the public eye. And thankfully, I recorded all these horrendous things that she did to me. You know, it was very hard to walk around with a camera. I'm not one of those type of people. I was never really a social media person in general. I barely had a Facebook account. I just had pictures of my family and my dogs prior to this. But I had to do it for my own protection because I saw what was going on. She was lying. She was covering the whole situation up. Mm-hmm. The building inspector is a criminal. There's no doubt about it. We were told by a retired FBI agent who lived in Babylon Village that he's a criminal, that he's been bragging about being a crook, that takes bribes and gets most of his money from kickbacks throughout his entire career. Mm-hmm. This man Fellman was given these positions in 5 prominent villages on Long Island through nepotism. And his father and his uncle were both political. I don't know what their positions were. I think it was the GOP president of the Republican Party of the town of Babylon. His uncle was. Mm-hmm. And both of them were arrested for real estate fraud and for taking bribes in the 70s. So he's a recycled criminal who was given positions through nepotism. He didn't deserve them. He doesn't do real inspections. He doesn't take any notes for his inspections. There's no accountability for what he does when he fails.
Since he doesn't even
they're getting away with it.
He doesn't even have a cell phone or an email address assigned to him by the city to do these things. You showed up and you asked him for the paperwork. Hey, why did you approve this inspection? And I'm not giving you anything. You're a threat and a menace, if I remember his words correctly. That's what he called you, a threat and a menace.
That's the way they tried to portray me. Anyone that asks questions when they fail in their duties is labeled as a threat and a menace. John Lepper, the treehouse guy, was labeled as a threat and a menace. You know, anyone that challenges their little protected system is a threat and a menace to them. Yes, we are threats and menaces because we're exposing you, and that's what we're here to do.
And how long would you say? What's the population of Babylon Village, would you say, if you took a stab in the dark at it?
Well, as Mary Adams stated in one of her meetings, 12,188 residents, maybe minus one. She doesn't count me as one of the residents, but I am a tax-paying resident, despite, Mary Adams' statements, public statements.
And I asked that to say this. For those of you who don't know, there are a multitude of Facebook groups that are out there bashing Austin and his story, which is, on the surface, it's just right. Austin is absolutely 100% in the right here. There's no way in hell there are any situations that justifies the inspector allowing this home to be built in the way it was built, and there's just no excuse for it. there in that if that is the only evidence that was presented in this case, that would be enough. But it runs so much deeper, but it goes even worse than that. The mayor said that she had people waiting outside of her home to follow her, so she had to get police escorts. Multitude of times saying that she was under threat, and that turned out to be not credible. But yet the police were still enforcing, up to a point, I would say, they were enforcing some of these orders that she put in place, not allowing you in the building, making life hard for you in general, not allowing people to speak at town hall meetings, not answering questions, not being accountable. And it just continues. Let's put it this way: when you're a mayor, when you're given that kind of authority to look out for the town folk, to your tax-paying citizens, and you have somebody who is clearly wronged, and you do nothing about it, but you meet with the criminals who do it, and then you basically conspire to cover it up, and then you call and make false allegations about the home being condemned, and then you lie about it, and then you meet with the inspector privately and say you didn't. Then you meet with Panola, who was the contractor in this case, and then you lie about it. You have the secretary lie about it, and they were coming after you as well for libel to an extent, and then basically said, hey, as long as you don't post anything more about me on the internet, I'll drop my cases. Just please stop.
One of the three that were suing me, is dropping the defamation case. As long as they stop posting about this particular person, I'm not going to speak about one of the three.
I'm not going to say his name. We'll just keep it generality, because they know for a fact that, one, you and your father have never backed down, and good for you. Good for you. You're in the right. But what I was getting at earlier with these Facebook groups, this is how nasty these people are. They have gone to the extent of creating Facebook groups, one where you can't comment in the group, guys. So if you go to The Truth About Austin Kitt and you look in the Facebook group, only those people they want to be able to post in there can post. You can't like, dislike, or do anything. You can't comment back. So they're creating a narrative that they're not giving you an opportunity to have any type of civil discourse with at all. I personally had received emails. I received all sorts of just terrible messages and comments from people after we put the movie out, even before we put the movie out, when we put the trailer out, telling me how much of a liar you were and how distorted I was for even entertaining the story. But we know that that's not true. And I'd like to give a big shout out to Brandon and Shane Wilkinson for also, bringing the story to my attention. And those brothers are a couple of patriots. And so they knew what was going on. They know exactly what these people have done to you and to your father. But where do we stand today? What is your feeling about what's the court noticing today, and how has the tide shifted in your favor?
Well, we're waiting on the appeal decision. That's everything. Everything is predicated on that decision. Because if we win our appeal, then we can open up discovery, and then we can depose all these people. And that's the last thing they want, because we have all the facts on our side. The only thing they could do was hide, deflect, muddy the waters, create smear campaigns, try to bury me with lawsuits for defamation. They just basically burying me in time and money with taxpayer money. They're funded by the taxpayers. I'm funding this myself. I work on power lines for a living. I have to pay the mortgage. I have to pay for my rent, and I have to pay the attorneys to fight this. It's nearly impossible. So if we win the appeal, which I believe we have a very good chance of winning it. If you watch some of the videos from the appellate courts, they seem to be hammering the village attorney.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. That's exactly what I was looking at. And in fact, let's take a look at
how
some
could
of
you not?
Let's take a look at some of this, guys.
Kitt versus Babylon.
Good morning, Your Honors. May it please the court.
Excuse the video, but it was on a cell phone, so.
So the issue here is whether at this stage of the litigation, motion to dismiss stage, Mr. Kitt has properly stated a claim for liability against the village of Babylon.
So in what way, I mean, clearly you would agree that the village and the building inspector was acting in a governmental capacity in terms of issuing building permits and variances. That's part of a governmental function. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely, of course.
So in terms of your obligation, in terms of your pleadings, what did you show that showed that the village owed your client a duty beyond that what it generally owes the public at large?
Well, the standard under New York law is you have to show a special relationship. And all I could assert to the court is the egregious conduct by the village that's articulated in the complaint to show that the court should imply as a matter of public policy that there should be liability here, because people rely on the government to do its job, and we need to hold the government accountable if we were going to get what we pay for. I would ask the court to take leave to imply into this a special relationship given the conduct of the village and the public policy of protecting the life and health and safety of its residents.
There is a standard for special relationships. So while I appreciate the reliance or the desire to rely on the permit, is that enough to establish and satisfy the standard of proving special relationships, so thereby there is no government immunity?
Well, again, all I can do, Your Honor, is rely on the allegations that we have in our complaint and hope that the court finds liability given the concerns that people should have for the safety of structures that are built.
Assuming the complaint only asserts that the reliance on the town's approval saying we can build establishes that special relationship, how does that not literally blow up the whole concept of government immunity that is very carefully crafted?
Well, in this case, is also the allegation that the inspector said that the foundation was safe and we could proceed forward, even though there was concern over the prior owner's construction of the foundation. It should have been open and obvious when he did the inspection that there was serious conditions with the framing, serious conditions regarding mold, and multiple instances that are listed in the complaint of structural failures and other failures.
Does that go towards your argument that discovery is needed in order to determine if there is a special relationship?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Silverberg, beyond just issuing a permit to build, if I recall correctly, didn't the building inspector himself meet with not only your client, but I think either a contractor or an architect?
We did meet with the contractor on site with respect to the foundation. There's deposition testimony which was used in support of this motion, in opposition to this motion, in support of a motion to amend, where the building inspector said he met with where the contractor said he met with the building inspector. The building inspector said, yeah, the house has been standing for quite a while, so you can keep building because I'm not too concerned about the foundation. So he involved himself in the process by making those statements. The original attorney had a claim that she categorized as harassment as a cause of action, but it really should have been, the original attorney had a claim that she categorized as harassment as a cause of action, but it really should have been negligent misrepresentation, because is basically by approving and allowing the contractor to go forward, it was a representation that it was safe to continue building when it turned out to be not safe and not in proper structural order. And we relied on those statements to let the builder keep building.
So I think that argument kind of stands on its own. Were these inspections in person? Did he actually show up to the site and use some criteria or another to determine whether or not the foundation was sturdy, everything was in order? Because what I'm drawing from this is that in some cases he just did this sight unseen.
A drive-by inspection, if we even received that. I doubt he even showed up. And that's why we need to open up discovery, because we could possibly ping his phone, see if he was even there that day when he said he did an inspection. Because the work was so bad, so egregious, that there's no way he could have possibly looked at it. Just the the decking piers with the footings. They're off the footings. If you looked at that one time,
it wasn't built on the foundation.
Job right there. Yeah. So it shows that he actually wasn't there. So he falsified records essentially.
So falsifying records, lying on record, withholding information that had to do with your own home from you, falsely accusing you of being a threat and a menace, putting your life and your father's life in danger, and then attacking you after the fact. I mean, these are all things that are on record. These are not just, I'm not just saying these things. I mean, they're crazy to think that a government official would conspire with a city employee to do this. But what keeps coming back to me in my mind is like, why was the mayor doing this? What would she get from any of this? Why is she just not doing her job as a mayor and protecting her citizens? What am I missing?
She's a real estate owner. It's the hottest property in Babylon. It's the nicest property in Babylon Village. And I could say that because I don't even think I'm ever going to live there at this point. I don't even care anymore. But I think it absolutely is the nicest property in Babylon Village.
Would you want to?
I'm sorry?
After everything that's gone down, would you want to live there? Wouldn't you feel a little less safe?
No, never. As beautiful as it is, it's just the whole neighborhood. I don't like anything about it anymore. I got no support from anyone on the block. When this first started happening in the beginning, I gathered all the engineers' reports. I went like a gentleman door to door to every single neighbor on the block. I showed them the engineers' reports. I wrote up a statement about what happened. Not one of them came to a board meeting. Not one of them came down to the house. Not one of them asked a question. They didn't care at all. They did not care. They're either too comfortable to care or they just don't want to be the next victim.
Very cult-like mentality that I've seen from the people within this city. And that's why I asked what the population was earlier, because I knew it couldn't be that many people, because they all seem to be kind of like just in a cult, essentially. I mean, like a cult. It very much looks like a cult from the outside looking in, because the allegations, and they're not just allegations at this point, inspections occurred, and those inspections should have issued a stop work order. There should have been what's called an RFI, where they went to engineers. The engineers should have then reissued some redesign to you for things that they found wrong, and they should have. There's a whole litany of things that are supposed to take place when these types of things occur on a construction site. I know because I live them every single day. So, there's probably, for every room in the house, there's what's called a rough-in. There's a mechanical, electrical, and a plumbing rough for the areas that have plumbing. But typically, even the areas of the house that don't have a sink have plumbing running beneath them or in the wall. So there's typically an inspection that takes place per area. So there are 3 per area: framing inspections, underground inspections, off-site or site inspections that have to take place for the things that you're tying in from the street to your home. So we're talking, I don't even know how many inspections, if you count all of them up with the size of your home, should have taken place. And at no point in time did he see a problem enough to where he felt that this should be stopped, that you guys were in danger. I mean, was there...
They didn't even call for markouts when they dug on the property. They didn't even call for markouts. They hit the water main. They hit the gas main.
So there was utility interruption. So they obviously didn't draw any type of blueprints from the city to see where those utilities were before they started digging.
Absolutely crazy. My job, if you did that, you'd be fired.
No, in most jobs, if you did that, you would be fired. I mean, there's the unintentional act, but if you go down
digging away.
Yeah, no, you call, well, at least here you call 811, right? So yep. you go down to the city, you pull blueprints, you see where the utilities are, and then you drill piles, essentially, and now you see where it's safe to dig, and then you dig, and then that's where you tie in the sewage, you tie into main water, you tie into the electrical grid, and you bring it into the home. And so, but when you do that, your name goes on record as being the guy going down there. Joe Pinola's name would be on record at the city saying what day and what time he went down and he requested those blueprints. My guess is that his name's not on record.
They never even reported it to me. They buried it. They buried the utilities. We only found out when we went to turn things on after Pinola was fired. We turned on the water and it was exploding in the middle of the property. We tried to turn on the gas. The National Grid came out and said that the foundation is built right onto the gas main. How did this happen?
Oh my God.
So they saw it and they saw it and they just covered it up. And the inspector was inspecting this along the way. How is that possible? There's 3 inspections per foundation.
This hurts my head. I can't believe this. So the mayor being a real estate mogul of sorts, wanting the property, meeting secretly with Pinola, who's the contractor, allowing the
sabotage the house.
That's exactly what I'm getting at. What else can it be but sabotage? Am I right in thinking there was some type of a waterfront beautification project that was in place at one point that was going to run right through your property line?
Very significant. Mary Adams was on the board. Dominic Bensavango, who's on the village board, was on this board. There was a committee of stakeholders and residents who proposed this $1 million bulkhead right in the front of my property. So it enhanced the value of the property significantly.
Guys, this is like a literal, real conspiracy where here's Austin Kitt and his father thinking they got their dream home. You got a mayor that wants the property for a waterfront beautification project. And it seems like they worked and conspired with the inspector and the contractor to build a house that he could never inhabit with the intention of making sure he couldn't inhabit the home and then taking the property on the opposite side of that once they actually did condemn it. And we believe that the condemning was something that they were intentionally going to do, because I think she played her hand a bit when she called the electric company and said the property was already condemned without ever having a vote.
That one's going to bite her in the ass because, we're going to depose everybody who was involved in that incident as well. And we're going to issue subpoenas to all these people. And we have proof. We have her on a recorded line. Not only did she say something that wasn't correct, she lied. Then she lied and said that she didn't do it, which we have recordings of people telling us from the power company that she did say that.
Exactly. And I heard those recordings. Let's
caught in a web of lies, and it's going to be a very interesting deposition when we depose Mary Adams and we put it all over the place on all social media platforms.
In your words, what do you think that deposition looks like? Oops, I apologize. I accidentally. I thought I brought you up. I brought myself up here. Hold on. Here.
I only have like 10 more.
What in your words, and that's what I was doing. I got caught up here.
Sure.
In your words, what does that deposition look like to you? Play that out for us. Mary Adams having to answer these questions, and what questions do you think she should be asked, and how should that go?
I mean, I don't know what she has to say exactly. What her attorneys are going to coach her, obviously, because they're the best in the business. But I mean, she's committed perjury numerous times. We've all seen it. She has to be held accountable for this. I don't know how the law operates as far as committing perjury, but I believe what she's done is criminal in nature, and what Steve Feldman has done his whole career is criminal. And we've been told that he is a criminal. Just because he hasn't been convicted of a crime doesn't mean he's not a criminal. When you have a seasoned FBI agent of 30 years telling you directly that the man is a criminal and commits crimes and comes from a family of crime, you take it serious.
So let me. We have Tom Kitt. Tom, glad you could join us, my friend. Glad you could join us. Got to figure it out. So we were just going through the case and new developments and just kind of rehashing to bring people up to speed. But you guys are still in the fight. The legal fight looks like it's going very well at this point, and it seems like the town of Babylon is being backed into a corner they can't get out of.
I doubt that.
I would love to hear what your thoughts on the matter are.
Yeah, well, this goes much deeper than what we see. Like I always say to Austin all the way through, I said, we think this is bad, but truly I think it's 10 times worse. Why is it that the village should attack Austin and I just for moving from one house to another? And 5 years later, they have gutted us on every level that we have tried to defend ourselves. They brought out bigger and bigger guns. All the judges, even the appeal court now, is taking 3 months to do what should have taken 10 minutes. I mean, it's obvious. This is so deep, and they are so cavalier in Babylon Village that they believe they can get away with anything. They carefully picked Austin and I to win the bid for this property in the first instant, because they figured we would be easily to get out of the picture when it suited. Covering up something we don't know, but I know, watching this for 5 years, it all comes back to Babylon, the shame, to Gilgo Beach, the shame of Babylon, and the shame of people throughout New York State and beyond, because these were 30 years of death parties there. And this is the only thing that can possibly cover up for the things that have happened here. It's unconscionable. Austin and I are just regular people.
I'm gonna 1 second here. Let me pull. I'm trying to get. I was trying to set that up before you got here, but how do you see this playing out, Mr. Kitt?
I think that it's going to be a major crash and burn for the legal system throughout New York State. I think it's that big, because it's the level of which they have attacked us. I mean, killing our dogs, tampering with our cars, and threatening our lives. Truly, I believe that these monsters.
That's a new one on me. You just say killing your dogs?
Yeah, 2 bulldogs.
Hold up, this is new. What happened?
Because Austin doesn't want to draw pity on himself, kind man, and so on and so forth. But I'm different now. They killed our bulldogs. We loved them, and Austin and I loved them dearly. And they tampered with our cars, creating issues whereby we may have less. I do believe, like I said, that these people wouldn't think twice about killing Austin and I if they could get away with it. They can't get away with it because Austin now is too in the limelight. But this is something that goes deep and dark. This is not something local, and it's obviously so because of Austin and I, who we are. Do you think we want to be involved in this 5-year nightmare? I live in one health crisis after another. Next week I go in for another surgery. I won't live through this, but Austin will. And something needs to happen here. It's not right that this should happen to us. And there is huge reason for it. And it's a deep and dark thing that goes throughout New York State. Look at the appellate court, for goodness sake. 3 months and then they're sitting on their duffs because they're getting phone calls from the people who put them in power. What about all these people who attended the death parties over 30 years? This massive cover-up that goes throughout the state and beyond. We have lots of names. We know lots of people who are involved, but we can't mention them because there's no proof and there never will be proof. But I do believe at the end of the day, all of this is going to crash and burn because it needs proof.
Well, whatever is done in the dark eventually comes into the light, and that's a fact. And as I stated earlier, even if all that withstanding, if it were just the inspections alone they're guilty.
Oh yeah,
you just don't allow a home to continue to be built when you see mold, when you see that the home is not even sitting on its foundation, when obviously the contractor didn't even go down to get the blueprints for the city to find out where the underground utilities were, which means they never drew the permits from the electric company, from the plumbing company, from anybody, because they're issued.
They couldn't care. They knew what they're involved in and that they were protected. They can be.
I think we're losing Tom. Austin, you with us? Oh, I think he just came back. Yeah, his internet is slowing down. When it picks back up, I'll bring him back up. But so I had no idea about your dogs, and I know you tried to explain.
I was living on the land. The way they both violently, it seemed like they were poisoned, to be honest. I mean, Betty was 4 years old. She contracted a very rare kidney disease. She went real quick. All it would take was for one of these bastards to throw a piece of meat on the beach in front where they knew we always hung out with the bulldogs, or on the property. I mean, it's an easy thing to do. They knew I loved my dog, and that was a big part of keeping me together in all this and at the worst moments. So yeah, it's highly likely that they did that. You know, a healthy 4-year-old English bulldog.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Even the vet said it could have been poison. They didn't know what it was, and they both died within 2 months of each other.
Oh wow! Now that's not a convenient. I mean, that's not just happenstance. Two dogs, two completely different dogs.
Eddie, when you look at that Facebook group, the things that are said, the sinister nature of it, the fact that the deepest wound in my life, my mother's suicide.
I was gonna mention that, but yeah, please go ahead. Let everyone know exactly.
For these people to go there shows what we're dealing with. It's evil. This is not normal. This isn't normal bashing or smearing. This is truly evil stuff. And they're all anonymous. We don't know who these people are, but we know who they are.
What Austin is referring to, Patriots, is the fact that when he was younger, there was a tragedy in his family. Mother, unfortunately, took her life. And they took this deep wound that obviously rests on his family, and they used it as leverage to hurt them on a Facebook group. I mean, and when you couple that with, like I said, calling the electric company, lying about the house being condemned, lying about meeting with the contractor, lying about most every damn thing that you brought up and confronted them about. I mean, when you put all that together, I mean, these people don't have souls. This is, Tom referred to this once before, and you said it was demonic. And there's no way it can't be. It has to be nothing but demonic. That these people would go after a family to the degree that they have gone after you.
And Eddie, you think that a public figure would be smart enough to stay away from something like that? Mary Adams is on that group actively. She joined it and she participates in it.
I saw.
That's a mayor, a public official participating in that.
Very nasty woman. I've seen her in action. I watched a lot of the videos where she's being asked basic questions, and she doesn't allow rebuttal. She doesn't allow. I mean, just very, very nasty. I mean, this is a woman who didn't think twice, rather, about filing a false police report against one of her own citizens to make herself look like a victim in a problem that she actually caused. Let's take a look at one of the clips from the court. Here, take a look.
A governmental entity voluntarily assumes a duty that generates justifiable reliance by the person who benefits from that duty. Isn't there an argument, if you look at this from a 3211 perspective, giving the plaintiff every benefit of the doubt, that they allege that in their complaint, that they in fact relied upon the representations that the building inspector was making, not only once, but I think on multiple occasions.
Excuse me, are you Stephen Feldman? Do you have any answers as to what happened at the property at 167 Araca Road? You don't? You signed off on all that work, right?
Responsibilities do you assume for the structure depicted in the plans?
Objection.
So I want to pause right there. It doesn't take a trained eye to know that those support beams right there that go to that house are supposed to be encased in a footing that goes below the ground. But as you can obviously see, they missed the foundation by what looks like to be about 2.5 feet or so.
And we dug up 9 of them. There's 9 of them that are like that.
And so how is the suitcase going against the contractor that did this?
Contractor, we're going to get a default judgment against this guy. He's a fraud. We've proven him to be a fraud, but his attorney just relieved himself from the case.
What happened with that?
I'm sorry, Tom.
Dad, you go.
I'm saying all of this stuff about the details of the abomination, the attack on the house, and the subsequent attack on Austin and I, these are all easily proven and well proven and not even worth talking about. It's a question of getting these people into court and to be deposed them and bring them to right in terms of the local information. It is time to get involved in the big fight that happened in the first place. Why 5 years later, Austin and I are gutted by these people for no reason at all. The details of it all are obvious if it ever gets to court, but I personally don't believe it. Here, court judges are elected people. It's all tied in. It's all connected. It's rotten to the core, and it's rotten to the core because of all these people who participated in the good death parties for many years, and now it's rotten. Any wonder they're cavaliers.
You're referring to the Go-Go Beach. You're referring to the Go-Go Beach.
The details doesn't matter. Anyway. But that hasn't happened, and it won't happen. And there's going to be a big crash and burn here, and a lot of people are going to be exposed. A lot of very, very important people.
Well, I applaud the fact that you guys are.
Austin isn't going.
You guys are going up against, very evil people with odds stacked against you. In a big way. I mean, they conspire to help one another and lie for one another, cover up one another's crimes. Who knows who's paying who or what any of them actually get out of this. But they all seem to be reading from the same playbook. And as I was saying before to Austin, the town, it seems very cultish. If there's not really another word that I can think of, when people so willingly embrace evil and then espouse it themselves and defend it, it's evil. And they stand.
I do know it better than most of them.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that you guys should have. I mean, for as long as this has been going on, there should have been one court a suitcase filed, 2-3 questions answered, and this should have been over a long time ago. But here you are. This many. Well, how long has it been?
It is now, and
how long has it been? 2 to 3 years.
They can keep bringing in the big guns and bring more and more judges and more people in to pack the pieces. But unless they kill both of us, we're going to keep going, plowing on ahead. This is important stuff, not just. It's for everybody. This is a disease.
Well, that's exactly right. It is for everybody. It's not just people. That's the thing about this.
I don't
this fight.
To leave the system at all, especially not after this, because they're all in with the issue. It's very dangerous. This is very, very dangerous and needs to be exposed, has to be exposed. Or we're all in danger. Sooner or later, it'll land on somebody else's door. Not on two yobs like Austin and I who don't know shit from Shinola, actually. But that's everybody will be victim finally.
Tom, here I am, on the other half of the country, and I have received threats for talking about this. I have been.
I believe it, of course. Don't try to be a good man.
It's fine with me. It just means they're paying attention. You know, they yell the loudest when you're right over the sore spot. It's okay. I welcome it. You know, so we are not going to stop. Patriots Prayer Network isn't going to stop. In fact, we'll continue to follow. The only way
you can actually get anything real done in this world. To get anything done, you have to be a dead man walking.
Oh yeah. You can't care.
You got to serve the higher purpose.
Yeah, you can't care about the outcome. You do what's right, and then whatever happens as a result of that, that's what happens. But you do what's right. And that's what you guys are doing. Now, Mr. Kitt, before we get out of here, I want to give you the floor. And if there's anything you want to say to the people watching, please take the time and say that. People are listening, and they want to know. So the floor is yours, my friend.
Okay. I just like to bring things back to its initial root. Two men trying to move to a new house a mile away from their current home and ending up on the street for 5 years, gutted. And that's the basic. Why? We know why now, because the more we have kicked back, or Austin has kicked back, the more they pull people out of the woodwork to show the extent of this network of protection, the cavalier attitude of the town and the village and the building inspector, all of them. They couldn't care less about the obviousness of Pinola's sabotage of the house and whether Austin found him in the office later on taking his pay off. Whatever, they don't care. They're laughing at us because they are protected. And they will never come to court unless there is a bigger authority that comes in here and says, no, this isn't right. And it's not because of the kids. It's because of our country. It's because of the very, very systems that are supposed to support us. Nobody can believe in the legal system when they see something like this going on, because they're going to be next. And they won't do anything until it involves them directly. It's way down the line for many people, and people couldn't care less as long as they're getting away with it.
Exactly right. And I think that right now we see authority, and we see people abuse their authority, abuse their positions, use it to their own benefit. We see them getting rich off of citizens. We see corruptions at the highest level. All we got to do is turn on the news every day. There's a new corrupt somebody.
Yeah, we just finally.
So, guys, you know, if you're not following Austin's story, you can find him on TikTok at Austin Kitt 1. At Austin Kitt 1. I implore you, go follow him.
Says you're only.
Go support him and his family and spread this story around, because this is one of the most corrupt things that I've ever seen happen. One of the most, just on its surface, just right and wrong things. And yet these people can't seem to get justice. But they can get justice if you help them. If you spread this around and you make this big enough, if you tell enough people, they will answer for their crimes. But it's up to us. The mainstream media is good for next to nothing. It's the alternative media. It's the PPNs of the world. That's what it takes, and that's why we're here, folks. So we thank you so much. And before we get out of here, I'm going to say what I usually say. You know, it's this easy. The silent majority, you need to stop being silent and stand your ground. Evil will never retreat willingly. It must be beaten back in every case. And I believe that's what Austin and Mr. Kitt here are doing. They're standing their ground, and they're trying to beat evil back, and they need your help to do it. Thank you for joining us today. and we will be following up with the Kitts very soon.
Okay, I'm not hearing you. Eddie, listen, thanks so much for following through on this. We appreciate it greatly.
Very much, man. It's an obligation at this point, and it's a privilege as well. So thank you.
Thank you too.
My people of this country, and we're under attack. They banning us, they cancel us for speaking the facts. If you man enough.
This is the Patriots Prayer Podcast. It's a tremendous show, one of the greatest shows in the history of the world.
This is Bryson Gray, and you are watching the Patriots Prayer.
PTN, you're doing the right thing.
On the Patriots Prayer Network. Thank you all.
PPN on your bumper.
I'm Tom McDonald. This is the Patriot Prayers Network. Check it out. Lots of good TV, lots of cool people. Tune in. Keep it locked.
Know where I stand. I'm the white boy with the middle fingers in the air, dog. We don't give a what. 100 white boys gonna hold me down anywhere, dog. We think that you suck. My Patriots the craziest. They ain't afraid of breaking fists on faces. If you really wanna taste of this, don't safety tip. The same mistake and spray the clip. I pray you miss, cause if you don't, they gon' go wacko. Automatic gun smoke like tobacco. Never hit a lady, but it's pretty hard to tell if you're a girl or a they, them. There's these, that, those. I ain't never gonna take a knee for the anthem. Smack them. I don't give a damn, can't stand them. Gang full of randoms. Fan with a handgun. Run up in your mansion, leave it all abandoned. I was raised to be brave to the grave. United States, we love the country that they've been corrupting. Go woke and go broker if you ain't obeyed. My people of this country, and we're under attack. They banning us, they cancel us for speaking the facts. If you man enough, come stand with us, take USA back. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is American flag.